Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming back and joining me for another episode of Waxing with Wade. And I want to welcome my good friend and trivia teammate, Eric Ortega. He also works with my daughter, Catherine, as joining me as a guest. I've been after him for a little while. We finally got it scheduled in. We're doing one of his favorite bands. I love this band. Today, we are doing, and you're going to hear from Eric in just a second. Today we are doing, and here's Alice Cooper down here, one of my Halloween decorations I brought over to join the video today. We're doing Black Sabbath, Master of Reality from 1971. The classic, they were one of the pioneers of heavy metal music, maybe the most influential in the early years. And this album is considered one of the quintessential early metal albums, and it has the song you may have heard, Sweet Leaf, on it, and some others you may not have heard. It is not all heavy metal rock, and there's a gorgeous little song we're going to be spotlighting today. Third studio album, 1971, not so critically acclaimed when it came out, but it is revered by critics now as a big influence in heavy metal music. I'm going to let Eric speak about it a little bit. He's got a lot more insights on this band and this album than I do. And before he starts, let me just say that neither of us actually had this on vinyl, and we wanted to do this episode. This is the one he really wanted to do. And I went looking for it, since I'm the one retired of the two, at all the record stores in town and could not find a used original copy. So Eric decided to buy a master pressing, a newer one, as I showed. I didn't show the back. It's got the lyrics on the back too, by the way. I believe that's, and also the cover, the original cover, Master of Reality, was black and only embossed, where it stood out and you could see it in the light, but it wasn't purple colored like the word Black Sabbath. Ultimately, Eric bought this album for this episode, and because he says he has to have it in his collection. Even though I offered to let Waxing with Wade subsidize the purchase. Anyway, tell us a little bit more about that, Eric, and about your love of Black Sabbath.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were just talking about the album cover itself. I was reading this morning that it has over 200 variations of coloring and whatnot. And originally, the band had purchased a black and white drawing from one of the local artists, and it was really surreal. Like, it really would have fit the album, in my opinion, because it was someone's skull with different layers depending on like war, happiness. But the record label didn't want to go with that, so they ended up doing that instead with black embossing and kind of a precursor to Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
But no, I grew up well out of the time frame of this, but I had friends, my uncle introduced me to Black Sabbath. The radio hits at first, like Iron Man and War Pigs, but it wasn't until I got to high school that a friend of mine introduced me to that, and we'd sit and listen to the whole thing, and I'm just like, I thought this band was about Satan.
Yes, listeners, if you've only heard bits about Black Sabbath, they are not a satanic band. They are pro-Christian, actually, and Eric will spotlight that on some of his thoughts on some of their lyrics.
At least at this era, because I know eventually Ozzy went to Prince of Darkness and all that.
But it's all stage antics.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's like a mixture of hippie music, blues, and rock, and it just kind of exploded into a Black Sabbath, really. I mean, but yeah, I mean, the first song, Sweet Leaf, it's kind of obvious love letter to Mary Jane, but originally it started off, and you can find it on YouTube somewhere, as a love song, kind of like Evil Woman was. What was that? I think that was on Paranoid, right? Evil Woman?
I'm not sure.
I can't
Yeah,
remember.
probably.
But it was a love song, but it wasn't up until Bill Ward had went to Ireland and he bought some cigarettes, the brand being Sweet African. And on the packaging it said, the sweetest leaf you'll ever buy. And that man was just like, ah.
Sweet Leaf.
It wasn't Bill Ward, it was Geezer Butler.
So Geezer Butler is the bass player. Bill Ward's the drummer.
Yeah.
You have Tony Iommi, the fabulous lead guitar player. And of course, Ozzy Osbourne. Great musicians. I love the bass and the drums on this album. I love the catchiness of it. I mean, man, it's fun to listen to for me. I don't know all of their albums well enough to know if it's my favorite. It's got to be one of the top two, probably.
It is
Eric
mine.
knows them all.
Well, I listened up to about Technical Ecstasy, and I have to say that this is by far my most favorite. Yeah.
What about Technical Ecstasy?
That was like the last. Wait, Never Say Die was the last album Ozzy was on, but it was close to the end
one of their later
of the
albums.
Ozzy run of Sabbath.
Okay. Got a new coffee mug this week. It's my Barney You Beat Everything Andy Griffith Show mug. I'm not any Andy Griffith Show fans out there. That goes with Black Sabbath, like salt and pepper. Barney soup. Okay. Well, we got much more to say. I know Eric does, and some of it's about particular songs. We're going to get on with it here. We're going to play Sweet Leaf. We're going to play the great opening. Let's hear what it sounds like. And then we're going to move it on up so we can hear some lead guitar at a different tempo. Oh, listen how clean that album is. Fresh. The second verse, the guitar is a little more prominent in the verse.
Yeah,
comes in.
Yeah, he definitely layers his leads and pretty much every album I can think of.
So this song's gonna really break down here. If I can find the spot.
I did want to say that the intro has been confirmed. That is Tony Iommi having a little cough after a little smoke.
Oh, okay. Of the Sweet Leaf. I see. Here we go. And the guitar there, fabulous.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was such a switch up too, because the whole song's a bit drony. Just it's a solid riff. It's a bit drony, and then all of a sudden that just explodes out of nowhere.
All right, now let's see. Do you have anything particular about After Forever? I want to play the opening and then where it transitions into two different tempos in the early go and that are repeated throughout, and another great song with more than one tempo and sound.
Yeah, I mean, with that song, that one really, that was one of the ones I was talking about, like referring to as far as, it's up and down. This isn't a satanic band, because that song in itself is really pro-Christian. It's talking about God's the only way to love, and that, you know, if you don't choose to believe in some form of a higher power, like what are you gonna do when you die? That's it. Kind of like a Gnostic, combating Gnostic beliefs, I guess.
After Forever.
Right.
Cool title.
Right. So.
All right, check it out. We'll hear a minute or two of it. Chatting earlier, that was one of the songs I chose not to spotlight at first when I first played the album. I wasn't that familiar with it. But then the second time I heard that song, I was like, no, I think I might do it. The third time I heard it, I was like, whoa, man, this is one of my favorites on the album, actually. No. Not my favorite, but it's close. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just got so many ranges. It starts off kind of spacey, and then they get you back into that Black Sabbath groove with that verse.
Oh, yeah. Now, while I'm setting the needle here, the next song is a 30-second little song that I'll let Eric describe to you, but it's okay, but, in the interest of time, we're moving on to my favorite song, Children of the Grave, that ends side one. But how about...
Oh, Embryo, yeah. I mean, I think he just put it on there to kind of mess with people, because it's a bit of a medieval jaunt. Like, you feel like there's a jester jumping around your living room.
I hit the reset button. Hopefully I can find the space in between. Maybe they'll hear a few seconds of the jaunt.
With that said, we like to say when we were looking for another host on the show.
Waxing with whoever. I love this. I feel a little bit amused about them with this.
Yeah.
The newer band.
Oh, yeah,
Drumming sound, the clacking sound there.
they did the first two albums I think were 8-track, and they did 16 tracks, so it allowed more everything. So you got the drum track that, you know, it's just there, the regular traditional, but then on top of that you got Bill Ward, the drummer, hitting toms with like those little hammers you use for xylophones, I think, or just drumsticks, little furry things. But yeah, that's just him going.
Hitting the drums?
Yeah.
Or hitting the edges?
No, it's toms, but it's muffled because of the little drumsticks.
Man, that sounds so cool. I want to get to where this song breaks down, and the ending is really cool. Hope I can find it here. I think I can. The last minute or so of the minute and a half of the song is really cool.
Yeah.
Eric, I was going to ask you something about that. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, you said there was something you mentioned earlier about the groove on that.
Yeah,
the run out.
Recently,
Lack of.
yeah, they didn't have a run out on the original pressing. It had some sort of groove in it that would just continuously loop that one bit.
Oh.
Yeah, how creepy would that have been, huh?
Yeah, that would give me the creeps when I was a kid. Okay, so here's that song that's quite a bit different, and I'll let you describe it, called Orchid.
Orchid.
Yes, we'll play at least half of it. Great guitar work by Tony Iommi.
It's, you know, it's a real short, nice acoustic piece, accompanied, I think, with a cello in the background.
Has it got some strings with it?
It sounds like some strings in the
Or a synthesizer maybe?
Maybe, but I don't. Did they even have?
Yeah, because I saw Tony Iommi played some synthesizer on this album somewhere.
Oh, maybe it is.
Yeah, this is the dawn of it, like, what, 69, 70, 68? That was probably the day it was first coming out.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. We can look that up, do some waxing with Wade fact checking. All right, Orchid. That has a little bit of a medieval sound to me, but it's not really a jaunt.
No,
it's not like the other song.
The other one's a bit.
That's not really a space filler. That's a great opening track to the second side, I think. Because now we're gonna rock. We're gonna spotlight a couple more songs, and this one is "Lord of the World." And I know Eric, you were mentioning earlier about the lyrics on this one.
Oh yeah, I mean it's kind of referring to some about revelations like
So it's Satan
not-
being the Lord in this
right
reference,
of
but
materials,
it's pro-Christian.
flesh. Right, yeah. So it's basically if you keep following the evil ways, then this is going to be the outcome because he never really cared about you in the first place, and it was all about your own demise. So.
Very well said, my friend. Let's hear "Lord of the World." We're gonna hear the opening, and we're gonna hear like the lead guitar break. Oh, great drums.
You're searching for your mind, don't know where to start. Can't find the key to fit the lock on your heart. You think you know, but you are never quite sure. Your soul is ill, but you will not find a cure. Yeah.
And so that song begins with a couple of verses like that. This is another one of my favorites on the album for sure. I don't know if I can pick a favorite now, but anyway, this song has a great lead break. Let's see if I can find. Here we go. I'll have to say, Bill Ward is moving up Waxing with Wade's list of favorite. That's the way I refer to myself now, just as always waxing with Wade, not just Wade.
Good. It's like
But
your
my favorite personal drummers, not being a musician or a drummer and not being able to judge them on technical things, my favorite drummers, he's moving way up the list. He's got to be in my top 10 already, rock drummers.
Awesome.
But my number one, I'd like to hear your top couple. My number one is John Bonham, followed by Dave Grohl, followed by Carl Palmer.
My favorite.
My
drummer?
current ranking.
Mine, I mean, Bill Ward, Neil Peart.
Neil Peart. He's in my top 10.
Yeah. What's the? Is it?
Even though I read that he pronounced it Peart.
Peart.
No
It's
one on the
Canadian,
planet
yeah.
has ever pronounced it that, except him and his family, evidently.
I'm sure so with crepe and crepe.
Anyway. But Solitude is a more acoustic piece or lighter piece that is.
Well, it kind of harkens back to Iommi's origins of jazz guitar. I mean, one of his inspirations was Django Reinhardt from, I think, the 40s.
The second time he's been mentioned on Waxing with Wade.
Oh, okay.
Lindsey Buckingham Nicks. He has a song on there called Django.
Oh,
Tribute to him.
didn't know that. That's neat. But yeah, I mean, he does a little jazz guitar. There's some flute on there that he plays, and I mean, it's just kind of a sad love song. I tend to skip it because of that. It's really
Yeah, it's
It's
not
cool,
my
but
favorite
it's a bit
song. It's a
depressing.
great song. I love playing the whole album when I play albums, but we've got so many great songs we're already having to skip, you
Yeah.
know. So, all right, this is Eric's favorite song. We're hear the opening of it, and then he can talk a little bit, and we hear a little bit of the lead guitar break. Into the Void, another rocker.
It's almost perfect timing.
For what?
The intro of the song.
Oh yeah, that's part of the song, isn't it? That's not.
That's
All right, I'm gonna skip ahead a little more in the middle portion of the song. I think there's a good lead.
Here we go.
Oh, no.
Freedom, my destiny, to the dawn. Escape from pain, my solution. Leave the earth, the water, sin and hate. Find the God of glory, reason where.
Oh, I wish I could just let it finish on out for everybody, but everyone needs to listen to this album on your own, especially if you like it loud and banging, I think. Well, I think we need to wrap it up. We went a little long with this episode, as my ones with guests typically do. It is what it is. I hope everyone enjoyed hearing Eric. Any final thoughts on this album, Eric?
I mean, I love it. Into the Void's a good tie-in. I mean, the song goes with so many range of emotions, but at the end, it's just kind of like, world's falling apart. We gotta get the spaceship, go away.
Ooh, no, like today. Now, last note that you did mention earlier, Solitude was influenced by, coincidence, Jethro Tull, that I just did 2 albums ago, on 2 episodes ago. On Waxing with Wade.
Okay.
Yes, and actually, I thought about Jethro Tull when it was playing, but not consciously. It crossed my mind for a second, then I didn't go back to it. It's weird that you said that. Waxing with Wade, I think at the beginning I forgot to say this was episode number 56, and it was not an album from 1969. I skipped it, 1974, when my daughter did an episode with me, or a friend Jeff, and we went to another year. Also did that this week. I'll come back to those years eventually, and next week I don't know what we're going to do yet. Come back, Waxing with Wade. We'll be back in a week or so.
Bye.